In this presentation, we will be taking a look at bank feeds and adding checks and cash outflows to QuickBooks Online. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here is our practice data. We're currently in the banking tab. I'm going to select this icon in order to hide this information. That's going to be a hamburger, this little 3 dots, so that we have as much room as possible. And we're currently in the review or for review tab. And we've populated our information so it's being directly input or updated from the bank. Now we're going to go through here and we're going to take some action, and we're going to spend our time mainly on the cash that's being spent, the outflows, the cash that's going out. And typically, usually when cash goes out, most of it's going to be some kind of expense that we're going to categorize it for. So if we imagine what's happening here, we can picture, of course, we've taken this information from the bank. The bank has automatically populated this data into our system from what they have, kind of like if we had the bank statement. All the data is being populated into here, everything that's going in and out of the bank account. So we have it here, but it's not in our QuickBooks system yet. It's just in this holding space in the For Review tab, so we can review it. And the bank QuickBooks tries to give us as much as it can, but it doesn't know exactly where to categorize everything, of course, because if it's a new vendor, if it's a store, QuickBooks doesn't know, should this restaurant, for example, be a draw, or should this restaurant be meals and entertainment? Or is this even a restaurant? Or what is this place, right? So QuickBooks doesn't know those things. As we start to populate the data, however, it can start to see those things more and more. That's why QuickBooks can give us this feed information here, but it can't just really populate it automatically all at once, all from day one into the software. So we're going to have to go through here and do some work for it and do that next step. So it really helps in data input in that it populates the system, but it doesn't quite finish the job. We still need to do we need to know things like what is a vendor, what is a customer, what's, how do I populate this stuff into the system? What's an account so that we could still populate this stuff. So, and that's really learned through actually entering transactions into the system. Once we have that, we can say, okay, QuickBooks gave us a lot of the information. It gave us the dollar amount, and it gave us some detail from the bank. And now we just need to kind of finish this up. So I'm going to we're going to go to the spent items. So here's, for example, a spent item. We've got the bank detail. So this is going to give us the information from the bank. And notice the bank detail is often going to be a lot longer than, you might want in a description category. But that's good because it gives us everything you might see, like numbers and whatnot in the bank detail. That's good to have when we're first trying to categorize something. And then the payee, which it may or may not be able to populate here, and then the category or matching, and then the amount here. So let's go through this. I'm going to click on this item, this 1,200, and we'll see here that we don't have a check number. The payee doesn't know the payee. It's uncategorized at this time. Billable means, are we going to include it on an invoice or not? And normally most of the time we're not, unless we have a job cost system, so we might not be using that item. And then here's a description. So a lot of times this description has something in it that will be what we want basically as the payee. So a lot of times, for example, we may not need this A1, but maybe I want to copy this. I'm going to copy that and put that as the payee and add that payee. So again, the first couple of months we'll have to do this multiple times, but later we'll add that as the payee, and we'll say vendor. Later, QuickBooks should memorize that. So then we're going to go for the category as well, and I'm not sure what the category is going to be, but I'm going to choose rent at this point. Yeah, and we have a rent or lease account. Now that's going to be an expense account that we have here, like most expenses will be. So now we've populated this information, and we can go ahead and add that information now. So if we say add, then we're going to include that information. Rent or lease is the category, and if we scroll up top to the QuickBooks section up here, so now we're moving over here, we can say, okay, there it is. Now it's actually been added to our system. So this is only the stuff here that's been added. This stuff for review is going to be all the information that we're going to have to go through and add. Now, if it's all set up well, we can go through and kind of add it as a group by batching it together. So I'm going to go through here and take a look at a few other ones. Now, if it's green, it's going to be guessing something that happened over here. So QuickBooks is taking a guess, trying to help us out, and it has a match over here. So it found some other data that it's matching it to. We'll take a look at that in a later presentation. So if I scroll back down, we're going to say, okay, here's an uncategorized spent item here. So if we go into this item, we actually have the name. It's uncategorized. It doesn't know which expense account to go to here. So if we might just put supplies or something like that and say that's going to be the expense category that we want. Again, probably not billable unless we're working with a job cost system. It means we're going to add that to an invoice and charge it. So then we're just going to add that, and there we have it. And so we can go through basically all this data and go through this process. Now, if I scroll back up, we'll note that QuickBooks is actually pointing to some of these. It actually reworked this one and said rent or lease, and it's guessing there. It's saying it's green. It's taking a guess, and it's saying, is that correct? And if we say yeah, go ahead and add that, we can add that, and then it'll start to memorize our data. So that's how the second month of operation will be a lot easier. So if we go to what's in QuickBooks now, we can see that these items have been successfully added. If we go back to the review tab, once we do this a few times, hopefully the second month we can add a lot more in a batch format, because the QuickBooks will make all the guesswork for us, and we'll be able to batch a lot more of the information as we go. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.